Om. Gayatri Mahamantra with your back straight. Om Bhurabhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Deva Sakshat Parbrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darashitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Om Shri Guruve Namaha Vyasarupena Vahayami Sthapyami Dhyayami Pujyami Tato Namaskaram Karomi. Shrimed Bhagavad Gita VibhutiYoga, verse number 11. This holds great significance. Lord Krishna conveys to the timeless Arjuna, to those that are submitted to me with absolute dedication, for them, I remove the veil of ignorance. I destroy the veil of ignorance. And then what happens? Then what happens is something which is esoteric and has to be understood by some approximation. Words may not suffice, because a state which is totally, exclusively not on the mortal plane, elsewhere within, in the realms of consciousness, to approximate it in the words is not that easy. Once the Lord incinerates the veil of ignorance, then what happens? Let's go by an example which may help us to approximate. We'll go on adding the words. The lantern with the wick. We may not have witnessed the lantern in common usage during our lifetime, because we were all born in the age of electricity. And the day we were born, we saw the bulb, the light bulb. But we very well know what is lantern. We have seen them. Maybe we have not used them with that kind of dearness as they were prevalent at one time. But we know what a lantern is. Lantern is like a flask, kind of a flask, ornamental flask, which has a glass, a wick inside. There is a bottom, which is a container for the oil. The wick is dipped in the oil. You light the wick, and the light, it oozes out of the glass. The glass spreads the light all over, and within its own proximity, everything becomes visible. That is what lantern is, a source of light before the dawn of electricity. Now, for example, it's all now by assumption. For example, the same lantern is covered by a thick suit of carbon. Obviously, when the oil will burn, smoke shall rise. So the smoke shall impact the glass around, the inner glass around, to the maximum extent. So what will happen? Black carbon soot will cast its layer on the inner walls of the lantern. And if you do not clean it from even outside, then with your oily hands, with the dust that is flowing around, another veil of kind of a dust shall start surfacing on the outer surface. Inward, black carbon soot, outward, dust, and other kind of touchings which may be for any other account, maybe greasy hands or whatever. The nutshell is that the glass will now be, a moment will come, will be covered to such an extent that the coatings will become a thick veil to obstruct the light to come out of the glass. To such an extent that even in the pitch dark, if you light the lantern, place its glass atop, no light shall come out. That kind of an imagination we can have even without using the lantern, with slight change here or there. Now, the question is the light there within the lantern or not? It's there. It was lighted, the wick is burning, there is light, but why is the light not coming out? Why we are not able to sight things in its light? Because there is a strong obstruction now caused both sides, from the inner walls of the glass and the outer one. That obstruction of a veil caused by whether greasy hands, dust, or the carbon suit disallows the light to come out. It appears pitch dark, despite the fact that light is there. Now what you do is, you take a cloth, piece of cloth, wet or dry, irrespective, start cleaning the glass from outside to some extent. I said to some extent. Okay. Carry these words to some extent. And then also we apply the same cloth inside the glass and rub it to some extent. Catch the words to some extent. Light the wick of the lamp, place that same glass which has been cleaned inward, outward to some extent. Now what will happen? Some light shall be able to filter through the glass. Some light. But now there will be light. Where was light earlier? It was very much there. What has now happened? It was there. It has merely been allowed to surface. Did it manifest from somewhere? No, it did not manifest. Did it ignite or awaken? No. The wick was already lit. So there's no chance for it to awaken. It was only that it surfaced when the covering around it was cleaned to some extent. What if we clean the glass inward and outward well with the warm water and a good detergent? Then, of course, the glass will become crisp, transparent. And then you light the wick, what will happen? The light shall fall all over the lantern, and everything in the room shall be visible. Maybe not to the extent of the light bulb, but within its capacity, it will illuminate everything that is around. So what has happened? Nothing, but the light is there. Oh yes, now it has surfaced more. Do you mean to say it has awakened more? No, it was there. Do you mean to say it has manifested more? No, it was there. It was already there. Neither it has awakened, nor it has manifested. It has just surfaced. It was there, being covered by the veil of ignorance. On the mortal plane, the veil of ignorance for the matter is the carbon suit and the greasy hands, etc., dust. Whereas when it comes to our own consciousness, what is the veil of ignorance? The continuous turbulence caused at the end of the mind by thoughts popping, popping, popping restlessly. Intellect giving one or the other kind of a suggestion. Chitta, recalling many memories and creating new fantasies. ego asserting itself upon everything for the ownership. So there is so much of riot going on, so much of riot going on, inside, outside. We open our eyes, there is riot. We close our eyes, there is riot. So, in our existential dimension, outward, when we open up the senses, again, there is so much of turbulence, so much of tribulation, so much of disturbance, and our sensorial organs, drivers, they fetch that disturbance. When we close our eyes, what happens? When we close our eyes, again, our inward senses are also in subjugation to different kinds of craving and subject. In total, we are in subjugation to different subjects, different senses, even inward. So, what happens is when the sadhana grows, see, understand it from the aspect of a sadhak, of a seeker, not as a learned scholar. I may not be able to contribute much, especially for this verse when it comes to understand it merely at the end of the intellect. But for a seeker who is every day, on every single day, submerged into sadhana, for that seeker, the state is going to be entirely different. For that seeker, the state within is that every day, through different kinds of functions of your sadhana, techniques, your inner exploration, when you dive inside, when you find different kind of reactions that arise within you to different situations and subjects, all those occurrences, when you analyze them, you correct, you try to seize your own unmindful cravings, kamanae. You also try to bring some control upon your restless thoughts. You try to instill some command upon unmindful fantasies of the mind in the form of imagination. You somehow bring some amount of stillness within yourself. Stillness and purity. By self examination, the sadhana gives you the ability to undergo a self examination without any bias. Your energy body, the prana, it comes to some levels of stillness, if not in entirety. Through your continuous appraisal of your own self, about your own self, then the mind and its distortions, they start decreasing. If they do not disappear, they at least decrease, reduce in numbers. When the intensity reduces by the different distractions and different distortions projected by the mind, then what happens is, then to some extent, some light from your inner corridors of the true self, your inner corridors of the true self, that starts oozing outward. Initially, you don't realize much. You do not realize much initially. Initially, it is like few inputs of deeper understanding coming down to you. You start noticing different facts that unravel within yourself. You may term them as manifestation, as something intuition coming from outward, etc. Whereas the true fact is, nothing has come from outward. Everything has transpired deep within you. They have surfaced. On account of removal of the veil of ignorance to some extent, few inputs of deeper understanding have now started surfacing. The more you gather stillness within, the more you are able to remove your inner impurities, instill discipline and order, the better shall be the surfacing of the effulgence of your own true inner self. And that is what Lord wants to convey in this particular verse. I don't have the verse for you in the form of a slide today, but I can certainly convey that to you. Tesham ev anukampartham aham agyan jam tamah nashyami atma bhavastha jnana deepena bhaswata. I bestow my mercy. Mercy is the right word? No. Compassion? Yeah, could be compassion. I bestow my compassion, special affection towards those that are submitted towards me at the core of their heart. To them, I remove their impurities of ignorance, veil of ignorance, layerings of ignorance. I remove them. Ignorance that distances away from their own inner deeper effulgence. Because I am beseated deep into them. As a Brahma, where is my abode? My abode is deep in each and every being in the form of their true self. मैं आत्मा हूं सबकी. Nashyami, I destroy that ignorance, that veil of ignorance. And then Atma Bhavastha, I am already beseated there. I am already beseated there. I am there. I don't have to manifest. I didn't have to awaken. I don't have to mark my special appearance. No, I am already there. So if I'm already there, then what is going to happen? Merely that you shall start noticing. I'll surface. I was there, I'll surface. Jnana deepena bhaswata. My light, my effulgence deep from deep within you shall surface. And who shall benefit at the foremost? Your intellect, buddhi. At the moment your buddhi is in subordination and subjugation to senses. But once the impurities are incinerated, the veil of ignorance is removed, then the same intellect, same intellect shall start gathering new revelations which are already there. Deep inputs of understanding shall be unraveled to them. They don't have to manifest. They will start noticing them, which are already there. Which are already there. But the veil of ignorance is disallowing the inner light which can give the access to the intellect to mark the presence of the most perspicacious facts. The intellect at present is outward, serving subjects outward, has no consideration and no account of what lies behind that veil of ignorance. But the moment I incinerate that, my own light, which is very much there, it surfaces. Intellect finds the opportunity to bathe into that light and find new revelations coming. Nay, bodh, esoteric deep understandings then rise, surface. Surface is the right word. It's already there. Nothing has come from the outside. It's very much there. It has just surfaced. Just surfaced. So, this is the fact of this particular shloka. Having heard this, any Arjuna, any timeless Arjuna is bound to be confused, bewildered initially. What are you talking about? Do you mean to say Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, all within me? Yes. Hanumanji, Ma Durga, Ma Saraswati, all the deities, all within me? Yes. That omnipresent omniscience, all within me? Yes. If they are all within me, then why am I every moment dying on account of deprivation, ignorance, inability? Yes. Remember, the state is the same as with the lantern. Lantern has the light once the wick is ignited, but the lantern renders no light outward because there is thick soot of ignorance on its glass, both inward outward. Likewise, within you is the Brahma, within me, within all beings there is Brahma, but soot of thick ignorance disallows, because our primary instrument to discern and distinguish, which is intellect, is serving in subjugation to subjects outward. Even when we close our eyes, we don't bring subjects from some other realm. Subjects again are fetched from, even if you close your eyes, who is going to feed you subjects? All that you have already seen, observed, you crave for, you long for, shortfall, holding, different problems, fantasies, all borrowed from external inputs. Even if you weave your own imagination, you create your own inner story, even then, everything is sourced outward. We have no opportunity to see the inner surfacing. It shall only come when, through sadhana, through consistent sadhana, this rubbing and rubbing of the inner layers of ignorance is removed, and the effulgence within, the pure effulgence within, finds its opportunity to unravel, to surface. Yes, to a seeker, this surfacing of the divine effulgence within certainly transpires, but in installments, as transient inputs of understanding. But for the exalted ones, they always remain submerged into them. For them, it's all pervasive. For them, there is no movement when they're out of it. They're always immersed into it, immersed into that deep, true effulgence of the true self. After this, the Arjuna will become bewildered and now shall gain a chance to pick up around 4 to 6 verses to insist upon Keshava to tell me more, give me more, inform me more. And we'll come to that in the next chapter, in the next class to follow. Enough for the day. ओम ही सत्य है, ओम ही सत्य है, ओम ही सत्य है.